आणि हा युट्यूबचा आहे ना, हे मोठं आहे का?
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Varsha.
Good evening. Yes, yes.
Okay, Varsha, good evening. Nitula,
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening, Nahar ma'am.
Good evening. Hi.
Good evening. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Nilu.
Not visible.
Good evening, Nitu.
Good evening, Nahar ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening, Sandhya madam.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so we are starting. A very good evening to everyone, all the participants, all the speakers, all the organizers. Very good evening, and a very warm welcome to this international e-conference organized by Oriental Education Society's Oriental College of Education and Research. Yeah, well, it seems really great to organize an educational e-conference on the evening of Teachers' Day. It's a great feeling to talk to all the teachers this way on this particular day. Yeah, so happy Teachers' Day, everyone, and I'm really glad that I'm talking to many professors today. Yeah, so myself, Jaimin Shah, I am a co-founder and CEO of Government of India recognized startup, that is an edtech startup called Teachers, which provides the college intelligence application to numerous colleges across the country. So we actually automate many college processes, and we provide softwares to many colleges in India. Well, as a company, actually, we do not be a tech support provider in any, you can say, webinars. But then there are few people to whom you cannot say no. And for me, Ratnaprabha Rajmane madam is one of them. Yeah, so it's just like last week, madam just called me up and she told that, I mean, we want to organize one international e-conference and on Teachers' Day actually, and you'll have to provide the tech support. And I was like, okay, and it's done. So yeah, we are here right now, and so without wasting any time, let me call one of the kindest principal I have ever met, Dr. Ratnaprabha Rajmane. Please come on the screen and let's just kickstart this particular session. Ma'am, over to you.
Yes. Good evening, one and all. It is my pleasure to welcome on behalf of Oriental Education Society to all my dignitaries and my participant. This conference, it was my dream to do it for my education faculty and teacher educators. I spoke with my managing director, Shri Wasim sir. He said me, Madam, you go ahead. Take help of my brother. Take help of all ICT people and do it perfectly. Dream come true today. And I'm going ahead for the same. I wanted to say a few words about my institution. First of all, gurus. I met gurus in the role of the Shri Javed sir. First time I met him, and I thought I met Guru. And his dynamic leadership for this Oriental Education Society mesmerized me, and I joined this college 2 months back. I was knowing about him, and that is what I thought. Remaining my education life, I will spend in this institution and I will go ahead. He is a dynamic leader who has established this institution in year 1992 under the dynamic leadership of well-known educationist, president of Oriental Education Society, Javed Khan sir. Our managing director is a dynamic young leader, Shri Wasim Khan sir. Our honorary secretary sitting here, Dr. Azim Khan. Source of our motivation, I called her. I want mother here on the Zoom meeting. She is a doctor, she is a principal Humaira Khan madam. She is a prime motivation source for this institution. She loves this institution. That is what this institution is running very well. This education society established as a public charitable trust, registered under the Society Registration Act, Bombay, Public Trust Act 1992. And the society has grown into a big educational hub, high level education. More than the 8,000 plus students, they are taking the education in this society. And OES always have been committed to the cause of providing high quality education in various level. This education society is devoted to the education only. Under the umbrella of the Oriental Education Society, Oriental Education Society, there are various courses running in this society as teacher education, pharmacy, MBA in all areas, law college, degree and junior college, and international school also, which is requirement of the teacher education. The college run by education, Oriental Education College of Education and Research is run by the society. And this education institution recognized by the various bodies of the government of India, like AICET, the Pharmacy Council of India, National Council for Teacher Education, Bar Council of India, and all degree courses at OES are affiliated to the Mumbai University. That is a big proud for us. With the excellent curriculum and innovative pedagogies in the pharmacy field, in the teacher education field, we can see which is implementing here. And the experimental learning is also, we can see in the field of the education. OES poses to the establishment of the center of its excellence and in research. We see the global link for this Oriental Education Society also. It's a big area running in Andheri, Sanpada, Vashi. All colleges are devoted to the education and the experimentation in education. And this big hub tomorrow will become a big banyan tree. That is what it is my pleasure to grow this institution ahead. And like that only we will go ahead. So I have tried today's conference. This conference broadly for all teachers. I met my managing director, Shri Wasim sir, and he said me, Madam, something we will do in this lockdown period, because the managing director is from the engineering field. I always adore the engineers because they are thinking very differently, and they are very much behind the development through the ICT. So this conference, when I have thought of this conference, the objectives I have kept in the mind to create an awareness and a dialogue between the professional, academic, research scholar on the major issues related to the culture of innovation. This culture of innovation has come in my mind when I heard the panel discussion of the uh, Honorable Javadekar Sir, Ministry of Human Resource Development. He said we wanted to bring the culture of innovation in India. I discussed with Mr. Aditya Rajmane also, because we call and we discuss it. I discussed with my colleague also, what is this culture of innovation? And then I thought I have to keep one conference on this, and we have to clarify this concept of the culture of innovation to all. The theme for this conference I have kept developing teaching skill for the 21st century. Issues and challenges before the teacher education in the 21st century. Culture of innovation, ICT, based teaching, learning, education pedagogy, evaluation pedagogy. Innovative teaching learning methods. National education policy is totally giving the emphasis on this culture of innovation, because the main person in this national education policy was the Dr. Javadekar sir, Honorable Minister, Human Resource Development, India. So national education, in national education policy, now we will see everywhere the culture of innovation. And that is what we wanted to go for this conference. Here, I thought that the lockdown period, there are means we have learnt a lot from the lockdown period. We have lost also from the lockdown period, but definitely we have strengthened our ICT in the lockdown period. We learn how to do the programs from the distance. Really, sir, Azim sir and all participants, I wanted to say, we were not knowing the 10% also, but now we have learnt a lot from the ICT, because it was an hour's need. We could not reach to our student without that. That is what we have learnt things. And so I thought this conference will throw a more and more light on that, and our research scholar and our professionals, they will learn from it. Here I wanted to tell you, there are the 6 ways for the culture of the innovation. One is a multifaceted approach and innovation, starting at the bottom and the root of the education. Empower our employees, and they will provide the value for the new ways. And we have to understand our failure also, because we have not learned before ICT. And now we are going behind the ICT, and we are learning it sooner the better. And that is what I have chosen this topic. Here are the dignitaries. They will throw the light on that. And I'm expecting you all are master in the, you are all master and you are all knowledgeable in that particular topic. Here, especially Sandhya Khedekar madam, she's a principal of the Sangamner College, and Aditya Rajmane from US, Dr. Azim sir from the Singapore. Especially I wanted to thank here the Surekha madam is there, our OSD and IC principal of HK College. And Azim sir I have not seen, Wasim sir I have not seen, but he will be there, and madam will be also there on screen. And with these few words, with the very, very, very happy Teachers' Day to all of you, and we will begin to further conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ratnaprabha madam. That was really kind of you, and I really agree. I mean, on the topic that you have said that, I mean, initially before the lockdown, professors were really reluctant about or maybe the entire industry was really reluctant about the technology. Maybe if I can relate myself, it is like, I mean, initially when we organized the webinars, it was like we have to train everyone. Like, I mean, this is how you need to use Zoom and any other online platform. But right now, it is like, if I'm talking about, yes, we want to, I mean, you can say do a webinar on Zoom. Everybody is like, okay, we know what to do on Zoom, how to use the Zoom. So I really agree. I'm totally agree with your, I mean, the concept. Madam, I just wanted to know, do we have anyone from the?
Yes, Mr. Azim sir, Wasim sir is there, managing director on the board, I think.
Would like to invite Mr. Wasim Khan, managing director of Oriental Education Society, just to, I mean, come
Few
over
words,
and, and let us know the few words about what are your thoughts on this particular webinar. Wasim sir.
Wasim sir is on board.
Yes. I guess we might have lost him
He
on
might
technical
have
connection.
lost.
Yeah. So
1 minute, I will call somebody else and let you know.
all right.
1 minute, 1 minute.
By the time, what I'll do is, ma'am, I'll just, call Dr. Neelu Sharma to at least introduce our first speaker, who is from New York, USA.
Okay.
Mr.
No
Aditya
problem. We'll go
Rajmane.
ahead with
So
that.
she'll be giving the introduction of Mr. Aditya Rajmane, and by the time, if we have sir, then we may have him.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah. So may I invite Dr. Neelu Sharma to introduce our first speaker from New York, USA, Mr. Aditya Rajmane. Neelu
Thank you,
Sharma.
Jamin. Thank you very much, Jamin. Thank you. Good evening, all. Good evening. As COVID-19 continues to unleash its fury across the globe, it has turned our lives upside down. With sudden transition to the online learning and limited social interaction, the impact on learning cannot be ignored. What really changed was teachers' approach and their will to fight pandemic, making sure that students do not suffer. As educators, we had to step up in time to save our generation. With the new normal setting in, digital learning has become an integral part of Indian education system and has prompted teachers to innovate. Bill Gates once said, technology is just a tool, the teachers are most important. I humbly respect his words and believe that education without teachers is no education at all. I would like to introduce our first speaker. He has done his B.Tech in Computer Engineering from University of Mumbai, followed by Masters in Computer Science in New York University. He has also done his Masters of Arts in Teaching from Clarkson University and currently is a technology teacher in Van Antwerp Middle School in Niskayuna. He is a recipient of Best Oral Presentation in Education award presented to him by Clarkson University and has his name published in International Journal of Engineering Associates. I present to you Mr. Aditya Narayan Rajmane. Over to you, sir. Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. Wish you all a very happy Teachers' Day.
Same to you, sir. Same to you, sir.
And I'm really excited to be here because the topic for today is very dear to me and is something that I have researched and is something that I use in everyday life. So I'm going to share my screen and we can begin. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
It is visible.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm going to talk something on innovation and invention in learning and education. And my main themes of this topic are going to be in relations to something which we all always think about, that is problem solving. and it is a very, very big need of the hour. As you all, as ma'am has mentioned, I'm an engineering technology teacher working with Niskayuna Central School District in New York State, USA. I'm a certified technology education teacher in US. And technology education is a field which is going way back in time in the United States. After World War II, over here, they started a field called as industrial arts, where students as young as 11, 12-year-olds were taught techniques which are used in industries just to enhance their problem solving skills and to make them better citizens. So my theme of the topic will be related to that, and we can see some minor links in every aspect of what I'm going to present today. So starting with current culture of problem solving. So I grew up in Mumbai. I grew up in Andheri. And I was really interested into learning how things were working since a very young age. I used to play around with different electronics. I used to take computers apart. I used to be very curious about what's going on. But that's not the case in current times, because if you ask any college graduate to even change a tube light, it is going to be a big task for them. Ooh, I don't know how to change a tube light. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to screw a light bulb. These are some of the minor basic things in a household which an individual should know and should be able to do. Going to a very micro level, things like problem solving are very essential even when you go and ask for employment. Today, many of the companies have some of the other problem solving strategies which they ask people to do when it comes to employment. So with that being said, we should all be cognizant that problem solving is a big concept which is lacking in current education system. We know a lot of theory, but very little of practical knowledge. An example of problem solving can range in any field, be it rocket science, where they try to analyze how we can put humans in space, to something as simple as cleaning your apartment. You need to know what areas of my apartment can be cleaned really well so that I can optimize the cleaning. Let me clean this part first, and then come to the center, so everything is clean towards the center, or let me go from center out, or something like that. Like, problem solving is a concept which is there in every aspect of your life. So without going further, let's see how we can increase students' problem solving skills. The first thing which comes to my mind is called as agency. So agency by design is a concept which is developed by Harvard University's Project Zero. Project Zero is a big lab over there in Harvard University Graduate School of Education, which deals with all these concepts of problem solving, critical thinking, enhancing computational thinking among students. Why is that useful? As I said before, that immediately leads to problem solving. It increases their math and logic skills. So what is agency? This is a term which is taken from economics. It basically means increasing intrinsic motivation of students to do something. For example, if my car blows a tire in middle of the road, I should first think about, can I get a jack, and can I try to fix and replace the tire myself? Or should I just pick up a phone and call someone, a mechanic, and ask them to come here, tow my car and fix my tire, or ask for help? So agency is something intrinsic that you feel like doing in terms of a problem occurs. So when we look at how we can use our intrinsic agency to solve problems and increase that intrinsic agency among students, it is practically proven that students become better problem solvers. If something breaks, if there is a problem, I should have an intrinsic motivation to go and solve it. And that is nothing but agency. Now let's look at how agency is derived in terms of design. So you have this tiny little wheel over here. It says we need to look closely at the problem. We need to explore some complexity of the problem, and then we need to find opportunities to solve that problem. The research that is being going on tells us that kids as low as 4 or 5-year-olds, when they come to school, when they are given some sort of training, some sort of help in problem solving, they become better and better in computational thinking. Their math skills, their logic skills are really harnessing. And that research is taken primarily by Government of India to create the new education policy so that technology and these skills are adopted at a grade level which is appropriate in school. So as Dr. Rajmane was saying earlier, me and her had a big conversation for a few weeks about why do they need problem solving in schools? Why do they need all these crazy things? Like they're just spewing words, hackathon, makerspace, this, AI, robotics, all these words, they're just spewing out, and people are really confused on what and why it is needed. So it all boils down to creating agency among students. Agency has a few things. I don't want to go into too much detail on how to teach agency in terms of pedagogy, but a few things that I would suggest is, for example, if you want to teach a kid how to screw a light bulb, you need to first understand, this is a light bulb. It glows. That's a broken light bulb, and we need to fix it. So when the kid looks at a light bulb, the kid can see threads around the light bulb. It can see an end which goes inside because that's not visible. And then by trial and error, if the kid has worked with a nail before, that kid might know that we need to screw it, unscrew it, screw it again. So they can unscrew the light bulb, screw the light bulb. They can understand about the safety. So understanding parts, understanding interaction between parts, and understanding what is the complexity in between these parts is a big concept of agency by design. So moving on, let's see how we can actually build this agency by design. So solutions to create some amount of agency among students. Makerspace. This word is just used quite a lot nowadays. Makerspace, what constitutes a makerspace, how a makerspace helps. So going back to the concept of problem solving, makerspace is nothing but a place where people come in and solve problems which are physical. As the name suggests, it's maker space. So students can come there and make something. You might ask, how would they know how to make something if they just come in there and there's no teacher who can train them on how to make something? So the teacher's job in a makerspace is very different from a teacher's job in a classroom. When I'm teaching a makerspace classroom, a teacher is just a facilitator. Teacher does not give step-by-step instructions on how to make something. On the other hand, teacher just gives the tools, and teacher just trains them how to use the tools. How safely and productively a hammer can be used, a saw can be used, a soldering iron can be used, a computer can be used. All the tools that are given to a student are trained, and then students create whatever they want themselves. I train students quite a lot on using 3D printers. Students then create their own designs. They 3D print a lot of different things. A big part of my classroom is to create a playground, and students actually create miniature version of slides, swings, and all those things by using the materials which are provided to them. They create a sense of agency because they want to do it, because it's something interesting, and they create a solution to that playground and create all these different parts of a playground in my classroom. So to show a few examples, these are some maker spaces on how they can look. Over here, as you can see, there is no desks or bench. There's no desks where students just sit around or write something theoretical. There's no traditional projectors and all those things. On the other hand, what you have is workbenches. Workbenches form as collaborative spaces where students can come in, they can work together. If you see over here in the second maker space, you can see some sewing machines. Well, sewing machines are a part of fabrication. So students are taught different forms of fabrication. So I think this bottom left image is of a lab which is called as a fab lab, fabrication lab. So you might have banner printers or poster printers in there, which students can learn on how to print banners, posters. They can learn how to make jackets and hoodies or something of that sort to show or represent their institution. Over here on top left, you can see some metalworking instruments. So when I look at this maker space, it is probably used by someone who is at a higher standard level, 11, 12, or something of that sort. At the bottom over here, you can see some kids who are, I would like to say, in 6th, 7th standard or less, 5th, 6th, 7th standard, who are working to create solutions in terms of making, if I zoom it out, it says making pianos or something of that sort. In sense, we are making them click their interest on what they want to do. We are not teaching them how to do it. We are just telling them, these are the resources, do it. Most of the times, students learn by failure. They try, and they have to be told what is going wrong when they fail. So for example, I'll go back to the light bulb situation. When we screw the light bulb in, we switch on the power, the light does not work. The students will then understand, what's the problem? Probably my mains might be shut off. So let's try to figure it out. Mains are working. The old light bulb was working. Why is the new light bulb not working? Probably the light bulb is defective. So they take another light bulb and screw it in. Light bulb works. So they learn these different problem solving skills in terms of how and what to do. The next picture that I'm going to show might shock a lot of people. Here's a kid who is, let's say, in 3rd or 4th standard and is using a back saw to cut some wood. Why is this so surprising? Well, we traditionally know that tools can be super dangerous. But if you observe that student properly, he has clamped the wood. He's wearing safety goggles. That student is trained on how to use tools. So the students can create various tools. This kind of problem solving skills, when inculcated at a very low grade level, help students in quite long run. So going back to what I said about having traditional skills in America, many schools adopted this after World War. It is mandatory for us to have technology teachers in school. But now technology education is moving away from traditional skills and going more to AI, robotics, and all those things that I'm going to tell you in my last few minutes of the presentation. But going back to traditional skills, now what's happening is, since we are moving away from traditional skills, we can see students who are less comfortable in using their day-to-day tools in problem solving. So for sure, traditional skills might be something that you might not see a student who is in a well-to-do institution work, but it is not to be looked as something that is beneath us, but it is to be looked as a mean for students to empower themselves, to create their own agency to do something. I'm super proud of my students who also do woodwork. They always come to me and ask me on how they can innovate and do different things. How I was trained in this? Well, at least in engineering, we have to do shop work in India. I was trained as a computer engineer, but yet in my first year of engineering, I had to do a lot of shop work. I had to learn plumbing, I had to learn woodwork, I had to learn metalworking, all these different traditional tools. And I used to hate it. I used to hate working with metal, hate working with wood. But now when I look back at it, I always feel that, this is something that is super interesting, which helped me quite a lot. I did my 11th and 12th in Andheri itself, and I was a student of electronics. And my electronics labs were based on something of a sort of maker spaces where teachers used to train us into using tools, and we used to sit for around 3 hours, 4 hours just to create circuits and all the materials in there by ourselves. They just provide us a problem and we try to inculcate and find solutions. So lab work in the sense has to be more hands-off in a makerspace situation. So this is school in terms of 6th, 7th, 8th standard, probably 9th. But what after that? We have learned all these tools. We know how to problem solve. Let's add competition. So a competition is then called a hackathon. So a hackathon essentially is nothing but a space where many makers come together and try to solve one single problem. And when they solve that one single problem in a timely fashion, they win something. Hackathons are usually arranged overnight or in a 24-hour timeline. Everyone is given tools, everyone is brought in the same space, for example, a hall or something like that, and they are made to solve problems based on real life. Hackathon is a concept which has come from computer science and computer engineering. We do quite a lot of hackathons in terms of computer engineering and computer science. We are given a certain set of problems. Me and my friends, we form a team. We then take up that problem and we try to solve it as fast as possible to win a competition. Why do you say that hackathons are important? Again, they provide a space where students can learn to problem solve, and which in turn, again, going back, increases their computational thinking, critical thinking, helps them with logic, helps them with computation. Some images in relation to hackathon. So at the top left is a hackathon organized by a corporation. You can see some students who are in their very high grades, I think 11th and 12th standard, just coming in here with their teachers, and they're trying to solve a problem based on a real world solution. If you might have seen some challenges which are organized at a very higher level in the world. For example, the lunar landing challenge organized by Google, which was a few years ago, I think last year, a big thing which was going on, where many different companies, small startups in the world were aiming to land a rover on moon. And even India had a team in there who were competing to go and land a rover. So and I think the challenge was to go I don't want to be wrong, but I think it was 10 meters using that rover. So whoever reaches moon lands their rover and goes 10 meters wins. No one won because, and that challenge went away because no one could do it in a timely fashion. Hackathons are very productive for companies. SpaceX, the Elon Musk company, has something which is called as Hyperloop. It is an innovative technology where they create a vacuum inside a pipe and they shoot a transportation vehicle from inside that pipe. And it's a new transportation system, which is, I think, being launched. So Hyperloop 1 has a big challenge, a hackathon, where teams of different universities come and test their Hyperloop, and whoever does it more efficiently wins. At the bottom over here, you can see a hackathon which is organized in a school. So school might have a problem saying, you know what, we all teachers have an issue with our with organizing morning meetings. We are all it's raining quite a lot in Mumbai, and we are just not having assemblies at all. We are just going to the classroom every single day, and kids are very much bored by just hearing the principal talk through the mic and saying the prayer and like just standing up for the national anthem through the mic, and we are really bored. So why not just have these group of students who come to the hackathon, try to innovate a solution to that and present it to the management, and then they can, of course, implement it or not implement it, and the best solution wins. Something of that sort is also a part of hackathon. So it's a competition, a short span competition in a select period of time. You come around and you find solutions. So this is how you can create agency. But these are all humans who are doing that. So humans are coming around, humans are designing something, humans are making different kinds of innovation when they are working together. In short, you might also say when thinkers come together, they can create solutions and they can create a lot of possible outcomes for future. But what if we just train a computer to do that? Like, so for example, I can see 5-6 people on the screen, but I don't know if they're humans. So I can just tell a computer, you know what, computer? A nose, a mouth, ears, 2 eyes, something of a round shape, a squarish shape. If you find those patterns in an image, that can be a human. And then you can learn to problem solve. For example, if the lips move up, you can easily recognize that the human is smiling. And you can then provide solutions for the human for the future in terms of if human is smiling, you can add like some ears or bunny ears or something like that. So to train a machine to do that is artificial intelligence. So when we train a machine to solve human problems, it's called as artificial intelligence. There are many different concepts in artificial intelligence, but I'm going to say it in a very easy sense because training a machine to do something is artificial intelligence. When you train a machine, I use the word train, like literally train, because if you observe how a dog trainer trains a dog, if any one of you all have pets, you might easily understand how a dog trainer trains. They give a dog a situation, for example, sit. So you show the dog how to sit. So the dog tries to sit, but the dog does not sit when it hears sit. So you reinforce it. You tell the dog again, sit. So the dog kind of moves around. But then when you show the dog, when I say sit, you sit, the dog kind of slowly understands that the word sit is associated with sitting. And that is nothing but how we also train computers. So we train computers by giving them different situations that a nose, a mouth, eyes and ears and a face looks like this, by giving them different images of faces and training the computer to understand this is a human face, this is a dog face, but this is a human face and human face looks like this. So training a computer again and again to understand a particular sense is called as artificial. I'm saying this in a very generic way, like there are many forms of artificial intelligence, like natural language processing. AI can understand your speech, that is also artificial intelligence. Many different concepts such as, one of the things that really interests me is polls and predicting political analysis. That's also a kind of artificial intelligence where you train the data into analyzing different situations and outcomes of who's going to win elections, is a big form of AI which is coming up. So AI has these different concepts. I'm not going to go into too much detail of it, but now AI can be helped to train robots or some sort of physical devices to do jobs. So let's see what it is. Over here on top, you can see some kids who are in their first, second, third standard, looking at a robot which is made using Lego Mindstorm. So this is a device which is called as Lego Mindstorm. If you observe closely around, you can see a black ring around here. So this black ring is nothing but a line drawn on paper. And if you observe closely, there's a sensor over here, which is attached to the robot, attached to the wheels, the servo motors. So they're doing nothing but training this tiny robot to follow the line and to follow the path. You might say this is really interesting how it can be used. Well, if you observe robots to analyze potholes, it can be done the same way. When a car is moving around, if you have a camera in there, it can depth sense analyze potholes, for example. And I think the BMC is using such kind of machines to do that. If you observe how roads are laid and patterns are laid on the road, you can have machines with sensors which can move around with paint, and it can paint the road in the center and create all these designs and all those things on road. So that's also some sort of robotics which is using artificial intelligence. It's a need of the hour to teach these students, because this is the future. If all the other countries are moving forward into teaching students on how to create solutions to day-to-day problems using the tools that we have, is really good. The tool that we are providing them right now is a computer, are these devices. Students are coding them themselves. They are understanding what is the problem, how can we find solution, and they're creating these solutions. So going back to agency, after what I've said right now, after I have given a nice little talk on what is a makerspace, what are hackathons, and how are they connected to AI and robotics, I'm for sure that many of you might have a sense of creating something, of making something, of going and helping students create something. So going back to it, you just have to tell students and teach them how they can analyze the system, how they can explore the complexities of the system, and how they can find opportunities to create problem-solving solutions. So towards the end, I would like to say thank you so much for the opportunity. This is something that I do in my day-to-day life as a technology teacher. We create solutions in terms of all different concepts in our curriculum. Our curriculum at 7th and 8th, I teach 7th and 8th standard. And my 7th standard curriculum ends with teaching students on how to create designs in 3D models like like computer aided designs, CAD in the sense in terms of how to create these patterns and 2D designs, 3D designs and 3D print. And in 8th standard, we teach them electronics on how to use a breadboard, how to solder, how to create different electronic components. We also teach them essentially about structures, how to create bridges, how to create stable structures. And towards the end, they create a hybrid project. For example, as I said, a playground or some structured project or something of that sort. They find the problem, they analyze the problem, and they create solutions. To boil this down, we also follow something that is used by every single engineer in this world. It's called as engineering design process. We teach them how to identify the problem, how to analyze it, how to research. We give them these tools. These tools are in turn then shown with some solutions, and students then go ahead and create the solutions. So we need to create kids like these who can use saws confidently, and they can also use complex computers and robots confidently, because that is the future. And that is something which also helps them create computational thinking, logic thinking, makes them good in math, makes them good in other areas of their education, gives them agency to do something, motivates them, and helps them in their future. Thank you.
All right, so that was really a nice presentation from you, Mr. Aditya. Now moving ahead, now I would like to invite Principal Dr. Ratnaprabha Rajmane again to introduce Dr. Azim Khan sir, who will be our next speaker. So Ratnaprabha madam, please introduce Azim sir. Ma'am, please unmute yourself. You are right now on a mute mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening, Dr. Azim sir. We are lucky that we are having the two engineers on the panel. I'm getting scared to you people now because how to bring this technology in my classroom, it's my question now. Uh, Dr. Azim sir, I'm very happy that you have accepted our invitation and you are on the panel of this e-conference, innovative culture, innovation and the culture. And uh, from technology people, we get lots of inputs for our education. And it is very, very essential for the teacher education. I'm introducing you as a engineer uh, from the Mumbai, Dr. Azim Khan sir. He has done his PhD in IIT Mumbai. He has done his undergraduation from VisitEI. Such a scholar person we got it today here, VisitEI Mumbai University, and his master he has done in Columbia University, New York. Two engineers masters from US today for our panel. We are so lucky. Students learn many things from them. And he has in the past, he has worked with the Motorola. Motorola, you must have heard, mobile company in USA, and the Microsoft Research, India and Singapore in the Management University. He has been associated with the Oriental Education Society almost from its inception. Sir, I am very, very proud that you are the General Secretary of Oriental Education Society. And from distance, at least you are guiding us for the same. At present, he leads the company with the small term in Singapore, where they are attempt to solve business problem related to people movement analytics. Sir, I have gone through your profile. I saw one Hazri.com. The engineers you people have come together and you have made for the school. Uh, your engineers movement for the teachers, and you are very much sympathetic to the teacher and you are going to solve their problems, and that is what you are working in Singapore. I'm proud of you that in your mind always the education field is there, and that is what I have chosen you for this particular conference. And I hope you are guiding us for the same. And once again, I'm welcoming you for this e-conference. Thank you very much.
Just a moment, Azim sir, before you start, to all the audience, if you want to ask any of your questions or if you have any sort of doubts that you want to address to your speakers, you can just write your questions on the chat box and most relevant questions will be asked at the end of the webinar. So you just need to write your question, and if you have any specific address, like I mean, you want to address it to Azim sir or Mr. Aditya or maybe the third speaker, you can just address that question to that particular speaker, and we at the end of the webinar we'll be asking them specifically. Thank you, Azim sir.
Thank you,
The
Jay.
screen is yours now.
Yeah, Azim sir.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for inviting me. I think I know a couple of other members on the panel as well. Surekha madam, hello. And Neeta, hi. It's been a while since I met you. And I'm sorry,
Where
ma'am.
is Nita? Okay, yeah.
I would have been, actually, I'm sort of semi-trapped in Singapore. So I can't come to Mumbai. Otherwise, I would have met at least some of you earlier before this. I've been planning to come to Mumbai since March, but I'm stuck.
Yes, sir.
So it can't be helped, but it's okay. Thank you to all the other members who have helped organize this, including Jamin. Thank you very much. This is a really nice thing to do. And I think at this juncture where we are not able to meet in person, these sort of meetings are crucial. Crucial to not just take advantage of what we are learning now, but also to keep in touch with all the other people who are there and who are facing similar problems and who can possibly give us better solutions for all of these. Okay, I have a few slides as well. Let me see if I can share my screen. Please let me know if this turns up on my screen.
Yes, it is visible.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking a little bit differently. I'm going to be talking mostly from the context of how administrators see innovation in education. And this is primarily from the perspective of me being both a teacher. I've taught in Bombay University. I've taught I was a teaching assistant in US, and I've also taken a few sort of lectures in Singapore. So I have some teaching experience, but I have a lot more experience in administration. Not as much as Mr. Wasim Khan or some of you principals like Surika Madam, for example, but still. And this is the kind of things that I feel that requires innovation in education from the teachers and from us, all administrators as well. So innovating in the 21st century for administrators. And by the way, I know that a lot of teachers do administrative jobs. So even if this is slightly off topic, just bear with me and have this in the back of your mind. So I'm going to sort of talk about very briefly a few things. And I am not sure what is the constituency of this audience. Some of this is probably not relevant to schools. Some of this is probably not relevant to colleges, but in general, they will hold good. So what I'm going to talk about is literally what's going on. What are we seeing that's good today, what's bad, and what's the things that we completely ignore. And finally, what is it that we should be aiming for? Not today, maybe not even 10 years from now, but maybe 20 years from now. And unlike Mr. Aditya, who is lucky to be in the land of so much opportunity, we still have a long ways to go. We are, I think, at least 15 years behind US. And that doesn't mean we can't catch up, but it does mean we need to do a lot more work. So let's begin. So we'll first go into a little bit of a flashback and sort of see where we are today, okay? So from an administrator's perspective, there are many things that an administrator does, and that's including principals and senior staff. So they are responsible for managing the money. They're responsible for managing the infrastructure. Something breaks, there's a furniture, there's a tube light, there is bathrooms, water cooler, whatever. They are responsible for HR. So they are responsible for hiring people, and both teachers and non-teaching staff, right? And then they are also responsible for dealing with students and guardians, right? Keeping them happy. Mera beta pass nahi ho raha hai. Kya kiya tumne? I mean, that sort of thing is not okay. You have to make sure that, okay, you convince them, oh, your student was absent for a long time. And then I have these cases where I've heard where a parent will come and say, hey, how come my child failed? It was coming to your college every day. And then, you show them the attendance record. Your student was not even there like 50% of the time. And they're like, no, but the student was getting up every day, getting ready and saying, I'm going to college. What now? So there are all these other situations, delicate situations that has to be tackled by the administrators. And then finally, there is all bunch of stuff which is to do with legal requirements, paying taxes, municipality staff, labor law, regulations, admissions, compliance, reporting. Mostly all this stuff is taken care of by non-teaching staff, but never without the assistance of teachers. So this affects us as teachers, as administrators, all of this. Generally, if you ask an administrator to say in one sentence, what is it that you do? They will reply and say, we do resource management, no matter what that resource is. Now, this sort of creates a constraint. And as Aditya will probably say to this comment, whenever you have constraints, that's where you have opportunities, because somebody is asking you to innovate, to get around that constraint and come up with something new. So let's talk a little bit about digitalization. So today we are having a Zoom meeting. We are all sitting in our homes and doing this. This would not be possible at all 25 years ago, okay? 1995, I don't know how many people remember, but this was not possible at all in 1995, okay? And 30 years ago, I don't even think we had internet in India except in all the IITs and ISCs and a few government departments. They had something called ERNet at the time. So we have improved quite a bit. So let's take a little bit from the teacher's perspective and from the administrator's perspective, what has changed. So let's take instruction, for example. So if you look at instruction, the classrooms are pretty much unchanged. You pretty much have benches, you have a blackboard, you have a teacher sitting in front at a table, and there might be a few charts on the walls, etc. But that's pretty much the sort of environment that has been there for a very long time. It's quite a bit different to the kind of spaces that we might need in the future, including, for example, some of the maker spaces that Aditya was talking about, including some of the other things that we might want to include. So that's where innovation can come in, for example. The other thing, blackboards. So previously we had, I mean, I did in my school days, and I think for most of the elder teachers, they will remember using only chalks and blackboards, right? You had green boards sometimes and you had colored chalk sometimes, but that was it. Nowadays, though, a lot of schools, a lot of colleges, they have digital projectors, they have a whiteboard, they have colored markers, etc. But the fundamental mechanism of sort of projecting what you want to show or say on a particular sort of piece of a wall has remained the same. And let's look at, and the last piece of the instruction is diagrams. Often it is said that a picture is worth a picture is worth 1,000 words. And that's important because sometimes you just can't get it unless you see pictures. The good thing is nowadays, you not only have full color illustrations, both in textbooks. I remember when my textbooks were not colored, didn't have color pictures. And you also have animations now. So you could, for example, this slide, and this very slide, in fact, has a tiny bit of animation. And so you can do animations, which means it makes it much, much easier for teachers to explain certain concepts which would not be possible without having a very fertile imagination on behalf of the student, or by taking an extraordinary amount of effort on behalf of the teacher. So things have become much better in certain ways. Let's talk about notes. So notes and sort of textbooks, etc. They have changed quite a bit. So textbooks, yes, they were always typewritten, they were always available, published, but notes usually used to be handwritten, and now they come typed. Like the teacher will type it out and send out the notes, or give a copy, print out a copy and give it to somebody. So the good thing is, if your teacher had banned handwriting before, you don't need to worry about it now. So okay, that's good. And similar with photocopies. So if you wanted to disseminate certain information which was not there in the textbook, or certain things that you felt that students should would understand better in your own explanation, meaning the teacher's explanation rather than the textbook explanation, you would write it out, students would photocopy it, and now they don't need paper, you can just read it on their phones. And the best advantage of that is they can sort of revise and look at that anytime they want, instead of carrying around a whole bunch of sheets, which would otherwise they would have to do, right? The things where we are sort of lacking is these other two parts: the short evaluations, the test, and the longer evaluations, which are the exams. So short evaluations nowadays is more about MCQs, right? So you have questions where you can have one of 4 answers or one of 3 answers or whatever, and you have either a computer which is grading them and giving you the answers. And in fact, I believe right now, because of the COVID situation where you're doing a lot of remote learning, this is probably the preferred way to sort of quickly get a sense of how good the students are doing. And then you also have this concept of bubble sheets, which are done where you sort of color a bubble and then you it gets scanned and then the machine evaluates it instead of the teacher. And this is only in the case where the student is not giving the exam online. So they're not giving it on a computer, but they are still doing MCQs and they answer it and bubble it, color bubble, and then it goes off for evaluation, right? This part of the digitalization process is still lacking in the sense that the testing is not very good yet. Not all questions can be converted into an MCQ or fill in the blank. For example, very difficult. I remember we used to have questions like match the columns, right? I don't see that very often in any software that I know of. Similarly, long evaluations have also been digitalized to some extent. So Bombay University, for example, now does allow scanning of sheets, and then you sit on your computer and then you can mark the answer sheet of someone, right? So long evaluation is there. So that's digitalization as well. But I believe this is still a far cry from where we need to be, and this is where we need innovation from teachers. And I'll come to sort of why and how you can go about it without sort of destroying the fundamental of testing and of exams. Okay, so this is the good, right? What's the bad? So the first thing that we have to notice is that education has become very, very expensive. Okay, all these digital projectors and whiteboards, they add to cost. They add to running costs, they add to purchase costs, they add to maintenance costs, they add to training costs. Everything becomes expensive. And the question you have to ask then is it worth it? Is it making the students better? So for example, I said you have animations and you have diagrams which are full color, and maybe you can do better in explaining certain concepts. Yes, but is it worth the expense? And that's the question that administrators always have to juggle, because in India, it is quite difficult to justify an additional expense to parents and to students. So does it make you better? That's the question. So we'll come to that next. So what do you think is the purpose of education? And if you ask this question to different people, they will answer it very, very differently, right? But if you look at, for example, Principal Madam was talking about the HR Minister, Mr. Javadekar, and his idea of innovation of teaching is required now in this present day and age. He probably has a very different perspective and a very encompassing perspective compared to us. But nevertheless, as administrators, there are a bunch of things that always come to our attention, right? As teachers. One, what are we doing with the education? Are we giving them skills? So like Aditya was talking about, maybe there are skills which make them practical. Maybe there are skills which help them get jobs, professional courses. Maybe there are skills which just help them do better, right? In the sense that previously you didn't know 3 languages. Now you go to school, you know 3 languages, right? English, Hindi, Marathi, or whatever. The second part is knowledge building. So is it that we are just giving them knowledge, but not necessarily giving them how to apply knowledge, because that's the part of skills? So are we just giving them knowledge? Are we meant to give knowledge as part of education? And the answer is yes. I remember this lesson back in school. I'm not sure whether it was 5th, 6th standard sometime, where a teacher came and said, do you know, if I take this knife and I dip it in this solution, chemical solution, and I cut a lemon, the lemon juice will come out blood red. And this is the kind of trick that charlatans and people would use in the old days to fool rural villagers into saying, oh, you have something bad going on, let me just do this ritual, pay me a lot of money, I'll do this ritual, and all the bad things that are happening to you will stop. And they would do this trick, but actually it was just basic chemistry. So now you have this knowledge that you are powered with, and you can say, oh, no, I don't believe you. That's not true, right? So knowledge building. So it's just knowledge. The third aspect, which is sort of not given so much importance in day-to-day teaching, but it is still nevertheless important, is cooperative citizenship. So as members of society, we are supposed to have certain norms. We are supposed to work together. We are supposed to follow the laws. We are supposed to help each other, right? In school, in the lower standards, I'm not sure what is being taught today, but like we used to have a subject called community living, where we were taught you must walk on this side of the road, you must wash your hands, you must do this, you must do that, etc., etc., etc. And those sort of citizen society skills are also part of education. And finally, the opportunity for advancement. So one of the most fundamental things of education is that it can, in many, many, many cases, level the playing field. And what I mean by that is, if you go back 200, 300 years, you used to have this, that the son of a wood craftsman, would become that. The son of a miller would become a miller, son of a baker would become a baker, and so on and so forth. And you had only that going for you. You could never advance beyond your caste, your village, your skill that you were imparted with. Right? You had to be extraordinary. You had to be somebody who gained the favor of somebody else to be able to rise up and do something more. Right? The story I remember from my school days is of Tenali Raman. Birbal. That Birbal was actually discovered by the King Akbar when he was one of his tours where he was visiting someplace. And then he comes across this boy, young boy. At the time, Birbal was quite young. He was just a teenager. And there is some, by accident, by chance, they happen to talk. And Birbal gives some very, very witty answers. And the king says to him, okay, if you ever grow up, come and meet me in my palace. And then Birbal goes to the palace, and I still remember the name of the story. The sentence he says, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm the boy. I come from the village with the tank." And it's, the story is something to do with the Vertor. And then Akbar says, "Oh, I remember you. Come." And this village boy who had no connection whatsoever was suddenly one of the 9 jewels of Akbar's court. Those sort of instances were very rare. With education, you can actually level it. People with the right mind, with the right attitude and the right skills can reach untold of heights. So this is a great, great mechanism for bringing up the best and the brightest and making them shine through education. So the purpose of education is all of these. And the question that we as administrators need to ask is, are we doing that? And how can we ensure that we are doing that to the best of our ability? So what's good, right? What's good today? So we have a lot of technology. We have computers, we have cell phones, we have big displays where you can show a lot of information, and we have all these things which help disseminate information, right, through telecom. So you can send an email to anybody in the world. I don't know if how many people remember not being able to reach out to somebody instantly across the world 25 years ago. I remember the first time I sent an email, that was 1996, and it was absolutely amazing to know that 5 seconds later, any communication they had sent had reached to somebody else on the other end in America or halfway across the world. So very cheap, very efficient ways of communication, of getting information, spreading information, which is absolutely amazing for collaboration purposes, which is absolutely amazing for getting the latest advances and being able to communicate that to all the people wherever they might be. One of the more understated sort of technologies which are there is called open source. What open source does is basically says, okay, I'm going to create certain pieces of software and I'm giving it to you for free, right? What people don't realize is that this open source technology actually powers a lot of advancements which have been built on top. So many things which otherwise would not be affordable become very, very affordable, letting again these people who are not able to otherwise take advantage of the technology available, the poor people, the coming from the backward community people, they are able to do that because the software is open. So for example, the web browser Mozilla Firefox, it's open source. Chrome web browser they're using, it's open source. Anybody can use it, anybody can download it, it's free, they can modify it. And now anybody in the world can use a web browser to go and visit any website. They don't have to pay. You don't have to be rich to be able to afford to buy that software, right? Examples. So there's a lot of open source software, which means there's a quick dissemination of high quality technology to everyone. If you make it open source, there is no barrier to preventing that. So that's the good thing that we have today. And finally, we have manpower. So I remember this, I don't know how many people of you remember in history, they taught us about a revolutionary freedom fighter from India called Jyotiba Phule. And one of the most important things he did, if I remember correctly, I'm hoping I'm not mistaking him for Mr. Gokhale, but one of the most important things he did was for women's education. And I tell, when I speak and when I understand and I talk to my grandmother, for example, she's passed away now, it is amazing that 150 years ago, girls couldn't be educated, right? But today they are, and they make up not maybe 50% of the workforce today, but a very significant percentage. A similar thing has happened with people from different castes who were not allowed to work, or were not allowed to educate, were not allowed to learn. But now you can. And what has happened as a consequence of that is you have a very large pool of manpower available to you. People who can do the jobs that need to be done. Right? So there is actually a benefit to everyone if you increase the amount of manpower that's available. And because we have more manpower, we have a more talented and educated pool of people, we can get better teachers, and that helps us. So the hiring process that I was talking about earlier, that administrators have to do, our job is a lot easier than it was maybe 50 years ago. But still, there's still a lot that needs to be done. there, and we need innovation. And I'll talk about, because as you can see, the importance of education, like I mentioned in the previous slides, is so high that we need the best people to come and teach our children. So what's bad today? So the most important thing that we have discovered as administrators, especially me in the last 4-5 months of the coronavirus, is the digital divide. What the digital divide word means is that technology is still prohibitively expensive for most of the people in India. They cannot afford it. They cannot afford to have computers at home. They cannot afford to have an infinite supply of bandwidth to their computers or even to their phones. They cannot afford to even share. Like if there is a computer, maybe there's one computer and the family of 5 are sharing it. Okay, they cannot afford to do all these other things that they could do otherwise if it was not so expensive. Maybe it's online payments, maybe it's e-delivery of groceries, whatever it might be. There is a significant component of people in India who are unable to do that. We are getting there, we are going in that direction, and I believe we should solve this problem for the most part, but it's still there. The second bit, and this is a bit which is not super important or not super critical because we are always lacking resources, but it's the commercialization of certain aspects of technology, of education. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of people who will come and try to convince you to purchase things which do not necessarily mean something beneficial for your students. Right? So as administrators, you have always to be on the guard and to say, hey, wait, is this my problem right now that I need to solve? It looks fine, it looks fancy, it looks glamorous, it does this, it does that. Okay, and but does it solve my problem? And is it causing my students to be a bit more problematic or a bit better? What is going on here? Right? And sometimes this happens also because some people fall under the wrong influence, in the sense that, for example, I've seen things which I could not understand why the government would do. And I'll talk about this from the context of one specific thing. So there's a course in Bombay University called BMS. And a part of that is being able to teach students how to use certain digital tools. And what the government did was they insisted that everybody should, the syllabus was designed to work only with Adobe software. And Adobe software, if you don't know, if people don't know, is quite expensive. And so students, luckily, were still able to do certain things, and we had to sort of work with that and go with that. But the question always was, can we provide all our students with the ability to work with Adobe? No. The cost was prohibitively expensive. So we had to like split time, split the number of computers that were available to the students at a time. So it is not clear that there was a significant advantage to students learning Adobe software at the time. I could not find it. I could not convince myself that it was true, because when we asked the students after they graduate how many people actually use that, turns out the answer is not that high. So yes, so there is this issue that administrators need to face and understand what is the thing that gives you the best bang for the buck, as they say. And finally, the end-to-end. So like I mentioned previously, we have this issue that you have certain parts of the digitalization process, of the education process, which is good, which is an improvement, but certain parts are not improving at all, which means that there is a disconnect, and this disconnect causes additional burden on the teachers. A teacher's job ideally should be only to teach, right? They should not be doing a lot of work which maybe computers can do. And unfortunately today that still ends up happening because there's a disconnect somewhere in between. And finally, the ugly. So the ugly part that I'm going to talk about deals with issues that we always sort of leave to the side. Partly that's because we never have the resources, the time to do it, partly because we never have the money to do it, and partly because we don't even realize it. So what are we ignoring? So let's say you are trying to innovate to solve a particular problem. The question that you need to ask, right, as teachers, as administrators is, what is the amount of time I'm going to spend on it? What is the amount of money I'm going to spend on it? And at what time do I give up? Let's say I can solve it, but it's taking too much time. Should I continue? Let's say I can solve it, but it's taking too much money. Should I continue? Right? And sometimes the effort ends up resulting in some poor digitalization process, which means it's a waste of money. Maybe that money could have been used for something else. Maybe the time could have been used for something else. So this is something that we ignore, partly because we are not MBAs who know how to do this optimization, and we are teachers, and in our hearts, We want our best for our children, and we want to make sure that they get the best, and we ignore this. But this should not be ignored because we have not enough resources. The other thing we often ignore is different needs. So people who come from vernacular backgrounds, maybe they have an issue with understanding the subject matter. Maybe the people who are not using the medium of instruction language as the language in their school, in their homes. So their mother tongue is quite different, quite foreign to what they're learning in school and in college. And maybe there are dyslexics, maybe there are autistics, maybe there are disabled, and they have all these other different people who have different needs, and we sort of don't count them in. Partly sometimes because we don't know, and sometimes because they are a very small number, but they're still there, and we ignore them. Then engagement. So if you are in a school where you have a very high teacher to student ratio, you're lucky because you can engage with the students directly. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. And I have seen so many harried teachers in our schools, in other schools where I have studied and elsewhere, where teachers have to work so hard because there is so much work that needs to be done because there are so many students, right? And so the engagement goes down. There is not enough time to account for each student. What is their problem? How to engage with them? Is it because maybe their economic situation is different, that you cannot engage with them? Is it because of their gender? Some people do not want. The parents are not very cooperative. When you encourage them to say, hey, why don't you let your child do this or child do that? No, that's a girl's thing. No, that's a boy's thing. Then you have technology. How do you communicate and engage with the students and the teachers to the maximum best effect? I mean, we always take a shortcut because we're always running out of time. We send an SMS, we send an email, we send a letter, and we're done. We don't necessarily close the loop and figure out, is there a better way to engage with that student, with that parent, with that guardian? Some other things that we sort of ignore: learning style. Auditory, visual, tactile, which one is it? I mean, we learn all this as B.Ed students, we probably learn all of this stuff, but do we get to practice it? We don't. And the question that we want to ask is, how can we innovate in all these things? How can we innovate so that this is taken into account, right? I still remember there was this class, there's a subtopic of probability for my board exams. And I don't know how many of you remember probability, but I remember the teacher started teaching, and then he goes into this formula for something called permutation and combination. And there is some, NPR and CPR formula and factorial, R factorial. I'm sort of forgetting it right now. But I remember at the end of 4 classes, I was thoroughly confused and I didn't know when to apply what. Eventually, at some point, my father, who sort of took an interest now and then, he was also very busy at the time, but he took an interest and he says, okay, because he's a maths teacher by training. He said, okay, are you facing any problems? I was like, yeah, I'm having this trouble with probability. So he says, so why this trouble this easy? And I'm like, no, I just can't get it. I don't understand how to make it work. And he says, okay, you know what? Let me talk to a friend of mine, an ex-teacher who used to work in the maths department of Khalsa College, and see if he can, help you out for a month or so. So I was like, sure. And he did. And I started going to Professor Maninder Singh. He's passed away, unfortunately. And I used to go to his house in Dadar for about 2 months, where I studied probability for him. And guess what? In his entire topic period that I learned from him, probability, not once did he use those formulas, the NPR, CPR formula. He just taught me to approach the problem from a very different way. And by the end of those 1.5 months, probability was my favorite topic in the entire math syllabus for the board exam. Just so happened that he understood what was sort of troubling me, and he said, okay, let's approach this differently from the way you would understand it. So the learning style was different. I understood things a bit more visually, and he said, okay, let's look at it that way. This sort of engagement, this sort of learning style, we need to incorporate it. Teachers don't necessarily have the time to do that for everybody. So what can we do? How can we innovate so that we are able to quickly identify what is the best way to teach what, and then make sure that that's covered in some sense? Course design. Course design is important in many ways. So one of the questions that's coming up now, and people are thinking now in US, and Aditya would concur with me on this, is people want to educate students based on the skills of what they would need 10, 15 years from today. They don't want them to be educated, the students. They don't want to educate the students based on the skills that they think they'll need 3 years from now. They want to educate them based on skills 10, 15 years from now. Now, the question that we always ask is, how do we even know what's going to be happening for 15 years from now? I mean, 20 years ago, certainly nobody anticipated there would be a pandemic and would be locked in the house for 2 months. 20 years ago, certainly nobody knew that we would be teaching class over the internet, right? So how do we know what's required 20 years from now? We don't know, but there are certain commonalities, certain things that never change. And so the education is slowly starting to be restructured around those things. Critical thinking, problem solving, and other things that are needed to be good at. So for example, communication skills, being good at maths and so on and so forth. So are we designing our courses to do that? And finally, evaluations. One of the fundamental problems of digitalizing evaluations is, how do we make sure that the evaluation is fair, consistent, and neutral? What I mean by that is, every answer is evaluated with the same level of, how do I say this, mental abstraction, in the sense that you look at the answer and you look at it in a very neutral way. You are not paying attention to the handwriting. You're not paying attention to the brilliant answer that was there by the student previous to this answer paper. You're not paying attention to the fact that you're in a hurry, you're hungry, etc., etc. How do we do that, right? How do we make sure that that's not the case? So one of the things that some people would say is we should take advantage of computers. And yes, but thing is, how do we do that? Where do we do that? And that's where the innovation will come in, where the technology might come in. And then we need to do this consistently. We need to do this consistently, and we need to do it neutrally, right? So these are the things that we sort of ignore many, many times. And these are just some of the points. There are other points also, but I don't think we have time to go in. And all of these areas require innovation. How do we do with less? How do we take care of each individual person, etc.? So finally, the summary of this is, if you want to do ideal digitalization, from an administrator's perspective, from a teacher's perspective who cares for all the students, make sure that all those things that matter, the cost, the HR, the PR, the taking care of the reputation of the college, and all the other miscellaneous stuff. We need the digitalization to be inclusive. It should be able to educate everyone, so that everybody gets a level playing field, not just the rich, not just people of a particular community, not just people of a particular part of the country, everyone. We need it to be tailored. We need to make sure that all these people who have these issues, maybe they are different in their needs, maybe they're different in the style of learning, maybe they're different in their interest level, whatever, it's tailored to them, and we need innovation there. How do we identify A, and B, once we have identified, how do we deliver? And finally, does that actually help them, or are we doing something wrong? So some feedback. Economical, obviously, if we need to be very good at this, if we want whatever we innovate to be successful, it has to be economical, right? It has to be something that other people can use without worrying that, oh, it might eventually not work for them. And finally, we must use science. And by science, I don't just mean technology. I also mean things like behavioral science and psychological science. I'm sure a lot of teachers, all the teachers who do B.Ed learn that. I mean, as engineers and professional courses, they probably don't learn that, but it's quite important. So I'll give you a specific example. Last year, I attended a talk by a PhD student here in Singapore. And her idea was to see if she could figure out if the students on a university campus were stressed out with the studies or not. Simple idea. And the question is how? How do you find it out? And she wanted to do it non-invasively, meaning without actually going and asking every student, are you sort of stressed out? And what's stressing you out? Which subject? Or are people stressing you out, and so on? So she did something very clever. All she did was she spent time, about a semester. She identified a group of students. I think, I don't remember the number. It was somewhere between 30 and 40. And she basically saw where they went, who they spent time with, and how much time. So when they're on campus, not at home, only when they're on campus. And she basically then periodically would ask them questions. And then she built this model at the end where she could apply that to other people that she had not tracked, that she had not investigated, that she had not observed, and tell with 85% confidence whether that student was stressed or not. Because all she was doing when she was observing this is that she was applying some behavioral psychology to understand whether the student was deviating from normal behavior by spending time differently than what they would have done otherwise. And thus this deviation told her in a certain sense whether they were stressed or not. Right? So very innovative approach to figure out if students on a campus are happy or not happy. And this is the kind of stuff, for example, that we would miss, right? As teachers, as administrators, we don't have time. I mean, we really don't have time. But can technology help? Can some science help? Can we, if we were able to see and figure out what our students were doing, would we be able to tell, are they happy? Are they having problems? Yes. And that is where we sort of come in and we figure out. So we do need innovation by all our teachers, and we do need, there's a lot to be done. We are still a long, long away from the utopia that I sort of defined. And I would be very happy to see all the innovations that come out. I mean, the teachers innovate all the time. Don't get me wrong. They innovate even though they don't take credit. They do innovate all the time. But those are not the innovations that make news or get spread. And we need to start thinking that way if we are ever to get to the utopia that I was talking about. Thank you. I will stop sharing my screen here. If people have questions, they can definitely ask.
Yeah, all right. So I guess that was one of the most amazing presentation I've ever, seen. The way you have used the concepts and the way you have created your presentation with all the graphics, I mean, that was really amazing. So, I found it really relevant because there is one more reason to find it more relevant. As I am also, I mean, we are also working on the same domain, trying to, I mean, help all the professors to, you can say, offload their administrative burden, and maybe so that they can focus more on the administrative, I mean, the teaching activity. And you talked about the same, so I really found it, I mean, super relevant. So
Thank
many
you.
congratulations, sir. It was really amazing presentation that you had.
Thank you.
Now, may I invite Dr. Professor Varsha Ghamre to introduce our third speaker and third and the last speaker of this particular e-conference. Third speaker is Dr. Sandhya Milan Khedekar. So, Varsha, madam, please come over the screen and
Yes, sure, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Am I audible? Okay.
Yes, yes, you're audible now.
Good evening to one and all present here. Today I am introducing our guest speaker. It's a big honor and a great privilege for me. I know a person who I am introducing a big sense of virtue and simplicity. I feel elated to introduce her tonight. She is none other than Dr. Sandhya Milan Khedekar. She is being educated by having certain degrees like B.Ed, M.Ed, SET, and PhD by the University of Pune and University of Mumbai. Now, I will move forward by giving details about all her experiences in her life, by which I am sure all the youths of today, our young generation, will get inspired a lot. Mem has vast interest in reading, traveling, and surfing on net, which is really a great interest. It imparts one's knowledge too. Mem also created several educational videos for YouTube channels. Dr. Sandhya ma'am have got a great skill in her. She is a techno savvy, which is generally known for those who have knowledge about a more modern technologies, especially the computer. Ma'am have got 15 years tremendous teaching experience in the College of Education for B.Ed and MA education students. 5 years of administrative experiences in the affiliated College of Mumbai University and Pune University. Dr. Sandhya ma'am was empowered by different organizations like Empowered Butterflies Educational Trust, Mumbai. This organization has a director which was of Empowered Butterflies Training and Research Academy in Mumbai. This organization implies for a self-defense training to the girls. Ma'am has given the self-defense training to more than 10,000 girls in the Mumbai. She is also mixed with martial art trainer and karate black belt. She has worked in All India Radio as a RJ, as an announcer for 2 years of Government of Maharashtra. Dr. Sandhya ma'am was appreciated by all her work. She was certified and have received various certificates for her tremendous work. PH Guide and NCT member, recognized MPhil and PhD Guide of Saraswati Bai Phule University of Pune. VT member of National Council for Teacher Education in Delhi. Now we'll see that through her great work and enthusiasm in all her work, she really deserves to be awarded for all her work as she done. Let's have a look on her award that she has received. Recipient of national, international awards like Professor Indira Parekh of 50 Women Education Leader Award. She have also received the same. She was selected in 50 Women Leader in South Asia Divang Mehta National Award for Leadership in Education and various state level awards for women empowerment work. She have received more than 12 national and 3 international awards. She has published more than 92 research papers in international national education journal and have presented more than 125 papers in international, national, and state conference and seminars. Dr. Sandhya ma'am have also organized more than 30 national and international workshops on various topics. Now, after having a look on so many great things done by Dr. Sandhya ma'am, which have really inspired to all of us, we'll now move forward and we'll see all her personal projects by her great and great interests. Like educational advisor on Meghalaya and Madhya Pradesh state education projects, she have again surprised us by being a author of book ICT, which published in Germany, available on Amazon, and author of books named like Educational Research, Bharatiya Nari, and Education 4.0. Lastly, I will enclose this speech given on her great personality and best example for all our young generation that it would not be possible without education and being educated to achieve and receive all his in her life. Thank you, ma'am, and welcome in our international e-conference. Thank you. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Uh,
Very good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, as the participants are from various countries. So before beginning my session, my co-speakers already had set a very good platform for this e-conference. I'll be talking from the perspective of teacher and teacher educators. So before beginning, let me first thank a very young by heart principal, Dr. Ratnaprabha Rajmane, who is principal of Oriental College of Education and Research. And I respect her a lot because she is always ready and very curious to learn new things. As on very timely, she has organized this online international conference on such a wonderful theme that is building a culture of innovation amongst teachers in the 21st century. I'm thankful to Oriental Education Society's President, Professor Javed Khan sir, Mr. Wasim Khan, Managing Director, and my co-speakers, Mr. Aditya Rajmane and Dr. Ajin Khan, for being here in this e-conference. So let me begin with my presentation, as the topic given to me is constructing e-content, or we can say how to develop the e-content and what kind of digital tools we can use. Because I have gone through some of the comments of participants on YouTube channel as well. People are more curious to know that what teacher can use. So wait, I am there. I am here to elaborate on all those things, because I'll be talking that what exactly is the role of a teacher in this innovation when we are actually try to innovate something. Because I'm really proud of all my teachers and all my student teachers all over the India and all over the globe, that no education has taught us, being a teacher, no education has taught us how to teach online. Still, in this COVID-19 situation, all the school teachers, college teachers, they are learning by themselves. They are learning new digital tools. They are learning how to teach online. They are struggling with so many things, and wonderfully they are teaching online. I mean, so many schools already have started with online teaching learning process. Many colleges have started, and without any kind of education, because I am in teacher education college from last 15 years, and believe me, till my PhD in education, no curriculum taught me how to teach online. But this COVID-19 situation has given us opportunity to all the teachers that what exactly we can do in this situation and how we can be creative and innovative being a teacher. And all my teachers, you are really doing wonderful job. And I'm thankful to Dr. Ratnaprabha Rajmani for having this conference on this topic, because this is need of an hour. And she is such a wonderful personality that I'm really thankful to you, ma'am, for making a difference in life of thousands of student teachers and thousands of teachers like me. Let me share my screen with you all. I'll be beginning with my presentation. I think the screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, it is visible now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll just begin with the first slide. As my topic for today is e-content development and digital tools. So I'll be showing you some demos also, because I don't want to go in detail of theory and all the things. Few demonstration, and I will try to make it shorter because already we are running out of time. So let me go to my next slide. First, let us understand what is my role being a teacher in these challenges of COVID-19. Because we are thinking of creating innovation in the field of education. So being a teacher, first thing I have to do is development of e-content. So what I will do in this situation, because yesterday I was talking with somebody and we had discussion that is this online teaching situation is temporary or is it going to be permanent? So my answer for this is, it is continue process. Just now we began. This is a continuous process in education 4.0, that this will be an integral part of teaching learning that we will be teaching online throughout our lifetime, whoever is teacher here. So basic thing here is development of e-content, that we have to learn that what subject I am teaching and what kind of e-content I have to develop. Then second is online teaching. Suppose I have created my e-content, I have developed my e-content. So how I will teach online? What kind of things or what kind of digital tools I will incorporate? Then third is technical training. If I am here and I am very much ready with my e-content, I know how to teach online, but do I need some technical training? So my answer is yes. With few efforts or with very less training, you can also teach online. And the fourth part is that is online assessment. So being a teacher here, my role is not only to teach, I have to assess my students that whatever I am teaching, are they getting it? Or whatever digital tools being a teacher I'm using, are my students able to learn virtually sitting at home? So I have to do online assessment. So I'll be showing some of the digital tools, what we can use for this purpose. So, and what tools to use, because if you surf online, there are thousands and thousands of tools, digital tools, which will be useful for teaching learning purpose. So what kind of tool is useful for my subject? Because we have to think of psychology of children also. So being the teacher educator, I always believe that I have to think of age and psychology of a student. I have to think of what kind of subject content matter I am teaching and what kind of results I want. That means what is my real objective of teaching. So what tools to use? Here, my dear friends, I'll be showing some of the tools to you. You can see on the screen, these all tools. Basically, I have trained many teachers in this COVID-19 period, and these are wonderful tools. I can tell you some examples. That is, Prezi and Haiku Deck can be used for presentation purpose, because till now we were using only PowerPoint presentations. PPT was used basically in country like India. When we say that, means Mr. Aditya and Dr. Azim already have given the background about artificial intelligence and robotics and all that. These are wonderful tools or wonderful techniques. They are useful for teaching learning purpose. But in rural areas, for those teachers who do not have these kind of technology available, for those teachers who don't have internet facility available, basic gadgets, so what can be done in that situation, I'll be elaborating on that. So these are some of the things that Scratch, Animato, Pixton you can use for animation or having some pictorial thing for your students. Then Boom Writer and Gizme is all there. ThingLink, Educreation, Socrative, Edmodo, Schoology, Pick2Chat. I'm just giving names here. I'll be showing some demonstration of some of the tools after this. Then OpenShot, YouTube Downloader, VLC Media Player, that this can be used for editing your video, downloading your video, or cutting the video. Then Storybird and Quizlet can be used by language teachers, basically those teachers who are teaching language and they want to develop writing skills and reading skills of the students. Then Blockster is there, Clipsnack, Padlet, Story Jumper. And I think all of you know about Google Form, Google Classroom, and Google Docs. Nowadays, all the teachers, they are using all these three forms because Google is providing such a wonderful facility and which is for free. The tools here I'm showing you, all these are freely available tools. You just can go on Google and you just search, you just try to use it. It's very easy to use. Then video recording with PowerPoint presentation, voiceover, Screencast-O-Matic can be used for recording your videos, OBS Studio and Presentation Tube. So here in the next slide, you can see I have given some more digital tools here. The first is Test Modes. Testmodes.com is a website where you can go and you can have your assessment for the students. Just like Google Form, there are some advanced features in test modes that you can ask students to write an essay or big answers and long answer questions. Even some quizzes you can have, and online examination can be conducted with help of test modes. Then teachers can create their own YouTube channel where you can have your record your videos and you can put, and this can be used as wonderful learning platform for the students by creating your YouTube channel. Then Mind Master is there where you can have your wonderful mind mapping. You can create some maps and charts with help of Mind Master. Google Forms, I think all the teachers nowadays they are using. So I'll not say anything about it. Then basically when I was teaching online and when I started giving training to school teachers, I found out that if I want to use some board in the classroom situation in my online teaching, so blackboard.fi is a wonderful website. Just go on blackboard.fi and you will be able to use this as your tool, as your blackboard, like real situation in the classroom. This creates a wonderful atmosphere in the online teaching. Then classroomscreen.com is also there where you can use the screen and it's freely available. Just explore it and you will be able to see this. Then again, I'll show you some examples of like Screencast-O-Matic, Nearpod, VoiceThread, Explain Everything Whiteboard. Loom can be used for recordings. For example, you want to record your lecture, your screen, Loom can be used. Screencastify is there, Canva is there. So all the teachers present here, they might be knowing all these names. So we can use it very easily. And whatever just I showed you, all these detailed videos are available on my YouTube channel. So all these digital tools, if you want to learn, because this channel I have created just for purpose of training teachers, for education purpose only, training to school teachers and what kind of digital tools we can use. So what can be done is just go on my channel, that is Dr. Sandhya Khedekar, and you will be able to see all these digital channels, digital tools, how we can use it for teaching learning purpose. So today we will have some demonstration of how to record video on mobile and laptop. Then Loom, Zoom lecture recording, Screencast-O-Matic, PPT voiceover, how to create your YouTube channel and upload video on your channel. So these few of demos we will have in this presentation today. So let me first tell you, you are a teacher in a school and you don't have big recording room and big cameras, professional cameras to record your lecture, and you really want to make difference in life of students with online teaching learning. So what can be done? My dear friends, I would like to tell you that if you don't have a very expensive gadgets, if you don't have recording room, if you don't have any big cameras with you, you just have your mobile in hand, and with help of that mobile, you can record your lectures. So I'll show you how. So only mobile you can use with board, tabletop, screen recorder. You can record your face or you can record the tabletop. I'll show you actual the demo of it. Then for face recording, what is necessary is sound and light effect of when you are in front of the camera and distance from camera. These are the important thing you have to keep in mind. So here you can see screen of my mobile. So on all the Android mobiles, there is one option called screen recorder. You can see here in the left hand side down, orange color camera picture is there. So in all mobiles, screen recorder is available. And if you don't have, you just go on the Play Store and you can download any screen recorder in your mobile from the Play Store of your mobile. So here I have downloaded V Recorder from in my mobile from the Play Store, and this kind of icon will be available. So just by pressing on this icon of V Recorder, I will be able to record my lecture for my students, and I can directly send whenever I record this lecture, it will get saved in the gallery of my mobile, and I can send the link. I can upload it in my drive, Google Drive, and I can send the link to my students. So it is easily possible for me. So this is a picture of V Recorder, how it looks. And there are some features that if you want to edit your video, you want to trim your video, you want to compress your video. Because nowadays what is happening, most of the schools and colleges, they have started their teaching online. But students are not able to download all the videos because the size of the video is so big. So you can compress the size with help of this kind of recorder. So compress facility is also available in these recorders. You can edit it if you want to trim or cut some part of it, you can. Or if you want to move that video to MP3, you can do that. So there are some additional features in this. So before going to the next, here I have recorded one V recorder. Just listen to it, how it works. I'll just go on this. Now I will show you how to record with help of your mobile. So I'm recording screen of my mobile. Here you can see on this screen in MI phone, always screen recorder option is there over here, you can see. So if I click on this option, you can see this is not me talking live. I have recorded this on my mobile and I have put it in my PowerPoint presentation. So this recording facility is available with help of your screen recorder option or any kind of V recorder or any screen recorder you can download in your mobile. So we will see what is tabletop recording with mobile. If yeah, you must have seen these kind of stands we use for mobiles to hold our mobile in car. So these mobile holders you can use as your tool, basically for those teachers I am telling from Jilla Parishad schools and some government schools and some rural area, because in India, most of our population is from rural area and students don't have any facility, even teachers don't have any facility. So with help of these simple gadgets, you can just have a mobile holder, and with help of that holder, you can, how you can use this. See, in this picture, you can see that one scale is used and this mobile is tied with this scale, and this scale is placed in between the books to get some holding part. And on the table, you can see over here, there is a white paper. So what teacher can do, if you want to record your lecture, whatever content you have to teach, you just write those points on this white paper, and with help of this white paper and just writing, and you can speak and your mobile will record whatever you are teaching here. So this is one of the wonderful thing you can do with free of cost. You don't have to pay anything for this. So I'm just telling you the simple techniques how we can teach online and how we can create innovation in our online teaching. So, or you can hold the mobile like this, and you can have a board in front of you, and on that board you can write something, you can stick the picture, you can explain that thing, and your voice will get recorded for this. Then this is a kitchen gadget we use in trolleys, kitchen trolleys, or in fridge of kitchen. And this kind of holders can be used to hold mobiles. This innovation I got from some school teachers from Assam and Madhya Pradesh who were teaching online, and they were really struggling that what to do. I want to record my lecture and what to do. So we people, Indian people are very good in Indian jugaad. So this kind of gadgets you can use. So that stand can be used like this. You can see in this picture that just that kitchen trolley stand is used to hold the mobile, and below the mobile there is a picture. So if you want to draw something, if you want to explain something in mathematics, some illustration with examples, you can write on the paper and you can elaborate, and your mobile camera will record the lecture, and you just can save it and you can send it to the students. There is one more important and very wonderful feature, Animation Maker. This is also free software. You just surf online, Anime's Animation Maker, and this free animated presentation software, it gives you wonderful thing. I'll show you actual demo how it works. So let us have a look at it. This kind of animations or pictures you can use with animes for any subject. There are different pictures for different subjects. So the name of the website is animes.com. You just go on this website and different kind of animations are available. You can use it for freely, but you have to acknowledge the website. Whenever you are using something from online or from Google or from any other site website, what you have to do is you just acknowledge the person that you are using it for education purpose. You have to give due credit, because avoid the cases of plagiarism. Don't copy paste anything on your PowerPoint presentation. If you are using something created by other person, either you take the permission or you give proper reference to that slide or to that picture. Otherwise there will be again trouble, because I have seen some school teachers, they are really struggling, and they got some calls from the original authors that this picture is owned by me and how you can use this without my permission. So if that picture says that permission is needed, you have to take permission. Otherwise, you can use those pictures or those animations which are freely available, open educational resources. You can go on Commonwealth website, and OERs can be there, and you can use those freely without permission of author, because those are made for reuse for education purpose. So again, here one more feature that most of the time, this e-conference also we are doing through Zoom, and it is live streaming on YouTube. So in Zoom also you can record lecture, because most of my teachers and my students, they were asking me, so what is the easy tool that we can use for recording our lecture? So there are OBS studios and other recording softwares, but sometimes there is training needed for all that aspect. But Zoom gives you facility where you can record your lecture in a simple manner, just like you are joining a meeting. You just have to share your screen and record your lecture, and just save it for your students. So I'll show you how to do that. We will see how to do lecture recording in Zoom. I think all of you know how to do a login for zoom.us. What you have to do is just open any URL and go on zoom.us and create your account. It just, you have to fill your basic information about yourself, your email ID, and create your own account. From this account, you can schedule your meetings also, and you can record your lectures. So pre-recorded lectures can be done in Zoom. So Zoom can be used for many purposes. You can have live sessions. You can contact with the students in meetings, and you can have recording of your lectures also. So after logging in, what you have to do is just download the Zoom app from Google. Go on Google and download Zoom app. So this kind of icon will be available on your desktop. So when you click on this, I'll show it again. When you click on this icon of Zoom, blue color icon, two options will be there. That is join a meeting or sign in. Now I don't want to join any meeting right now of others. I just want to sign in into my account. So I will type my email ID here. That is my login ID. So after putting my email ID, I will type my password here. Okay. And I will just sign into Zoom account. So after signing in, you will get this kind of screen over here. So in this screen, what you have to do is you just go on the home, and in home there will be four options, that is new meeting, join, schedule and share screen. Now I want to record my lecture for my students. What I will do is I will go on new meeting. So after going on new meeting, these kind of screen will be available. So if you want to open your video, you can open from here. Right now for demo purpose, I am not using it. What I will do is, I just want to record my lecture. So here on this option, here you can see some options are there. The left hand side is the microphone that you are using right now. Then start a video. If you click on start a video, your face will be visible. Some security options are there. You can see participant over here. Only one participant is there, that is me. Then chat box, share screen, record and reactions. So here you have to use two options, that is share screen and record. For example, if I am sharing my screen here, it will ask me which screen you want to share. Okay, so I want to open this and I want to click on this PPT. And after clicking on this PPT will be visible to all. And I can explain to my students whatever I want to explain, whichever slides are there in this PPT. So you can see over here, just like we are using PPT, I'm using this PPT. You can use PowerPoint presentation for recording your lecture. Now we will see how to record your lecture. Here is one option down, that is record. You have to click on this, and when you click on record, your voice will automatically get recorded here. And you can see the pause button is there, stop button is there. In between, if I want to pause, I can click on pause button. And if my recording is completed, then I can click on stop recording. So here I will start whatever I just spoken with you all. It got already recorded in Zoom because the record button is enabled. So I'll share screen here, and I will actually record few 2-3 slides. Okay, I'll stop this Zoom recording here. The reason is we have less time, and I'll be showing some other tools also. So I think you got idea that what we can do is just share your screen, any PowerPoint presentation in the Zoom. We do it like in Zoom meetings, and click on the record button where you are a host, and record this lecture. When you complete that meeting, end that meeting, and it will automatically get recorded and it will get saved in your recordings of Zoom app. So what you have to do is just record this, and my dear friends, very small video is created. So a wonderful feature of Zoom is the size of the video is smaller compared to other recorders. So it is always better to use Zoom to record your online lectures. So that is possible for you. Then we will have one more demo of how we can record in Loom. Loom is actually a screen recorder. What you have to do is just go on the Google and type Loom and download it. I'll show the demo actually that how it works. Now we will see how to use Loom for your lecture recording. Suppose you want to record your lecture and you want an easy way, whatever you are doing on your screen, it should be get recorded. So Loom is one of the best options. Let us have a look how to use it. Just go on Google, and what you have to do is type Loom, that is Loom. So after typing Loom, you will get a website of Loom. And on this website, that is www.loom.com, you can see here, get Loom for free, desktop app, screen recorder, pricing, signing, what is Loom. So you have to click on desktop app. After clicking on desktop app, this Loom will get downloaded. I have already downloaded it, so I will show you how it looks. And here you can see this kind of logo is available of Loom. When I click on this logo, so here you can see this screen is visible. And it's very easy to use, my friends. Here you can see screen plus cam. If you select this, your screen and your face will be visible. Here is one more option, that is screen only and cam only. If you don't want to show screen, if you want to show your face, then use cam only. Here one more option is there, select camera. If you want to select the front camera, you can select. Microphone is also available. So just I'm showing you the demo how to record with Loom. Click on start recording. After clicking on start recording, it will show you 3, 2, 1, and now it is started. So my dear friends, now whatever I do on my screen, it will get recorded. For example, I'm showing now it only and cam only. If you don't want to show screen, if you want to show your face, then use cam only. Here one more option is there, select camera 2, 1, and now it is started. So my dear friends, now whatever I do on my screen, it will get recorded. For example, I'm showing this PPT and I'm explaining this PPT. Okay. So let me go on a slideshow of it. And dear friends, today we will discuss about what there is no time limit for it. So for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour recording can be done on Zoom. So once I'm done with my recording, here on left hand side, you can see this kind of icon is visible. So this is Loom icon. Here on the first button, red button, it is showing stop recording. If I want to stop, I can stop. My voice is now getting recorded. Here restart is there, then pause is there. In this screen is with this thing for Loom recording. Her login is already there, so her name is visible here. So Loom can be used to record your screen like you record in your mobile. Means for example, like you use a recorder in mobile, Loom can be used as a screen recorder for your laptop. So whatever activities you are doing on your laptop, all those activities are visible. If you are sharing the screen, you go on Google, you are surfing something, you want to show some YouTube channel video, if you want to show some picture or any other thing. So Loom is very helpful in that manner, and it automatically gets saved and it gives you a longer video for 1 hour, 2 hours also for free. So it's very much useful. Again, there is one more option, that is Screencast-O-Matic. Screencast-O-Matic is also used for recording the lectures, but there is a limitation. I will not show this demo of Screencast-O-Matic because it is very similar to Loom. Just like you are recording your screen, you can record. But here, my dear friends, limitation of 15 minutes is there. So only 15-minute lecture can be recorded on Screencast-O-Matic. When you want to have some demo or a smaller lecture, you can use Screencast-O-Matic. This is also freely available. Now we will see, I'm going little hurry because I want to show you so many things, and I'm getting your remarks also that you are liking this presentation and you want to learn. So I just want to show some other options also. So there is, I think all you are aware how to make PowerPoint presentation. But how to give voiceover to that PowerPoint presentation, most of the teachers, they are already using. So I'll show you how we can do that. Now we will see how to do PPT voiceover. If you have created any PowerPoint presentation and you want to convert that PowerPoint presentation in MP4 video, it is very much possible in an easy way. You just have to open your PPT and just go on that PowerPoint presentation. I already created one. I'll share with you that. So this is the PPT I have created on artificial intelligence. I'll show you the demo first and then I will go about it. Dear friends, today we will discuss about artificial intelligence and how artificial intelligence is playing important role in our daily life also and in the future of education also. What exactly it is? It is the study of computer systems that we are using Alexa device. And what Alexa does is Alexa identifies the human voice and it replies. This is my voice actually. I have given to PowerPoint. We'll move ahead little. The capability of the PowerPoint presentation. Here in the slideshow itself, go on the slideshow and there is one option, record slideshow, and it will ask you to start from the beginning. So if you are using Windows 10, so this option is visible in slideshow. If you are using any other version of PowerPoint presentation, so you have to insert your voice, insert audio option is here. And if it is not visible, you can add in, go in add-ins and insert a voice. So if you want to put some video in between the PowerPoint presentation, you can insert that video from here. You can insert your audio from here. And if I want to record my PowerPoint presentation, just like I showed you just now, just go in the slideshow and click on record slideshow button. When I record, it will ask me to start from beginning or start from current. So in PowerPoint presentation itself, you have a recording facility. You can add your voice, you can add some other audio also, and you can record with your face visibility also and without face also. So this is one of the option where you can record the things. Then the other thing is how to upload video on YouTube channel. There is one more video. I will not show you this video in detail. But you can create your own YouTube channel and you can upload your video. It's very easy. If you want to learn more about it, just visit my YouTube channel. I have created a big video of how to create your own YouTube channel and how to upload the things. Then I think all these softwares you must have heard, like OBS Studio, Filmix, Render Forest. Render Forest can be used for some animations or having some pictorial things. So whiteboard maker video is also there. I will show actual demo what it is exactly. So let us have a look at it, what exactly whiteboard maker video is. This is created by Easy Tech Studios. So whiteboard maker gives you facility to use different kind of animation in your teaching learning. There are different kinds of videos like motion graphic, 2D motion graphic, 5D animation, 3D animation, whiteboard, live action. You can see here stop motion, kinetic, screencast, infographic, so many things. So I will not go in detail. If you want to learn this, you just type the name and you will be able to see thousands of video about it. Here was one video of types of video, but I'll not show that. Just let me conclude with some of the presentation tools you have, like EduCreation, Glockster, and Haiku Deck. This can be used for presentation purpose by teachers. Then you have some other presentation tools like Pick2Chart, Prezi, and Visme. Very wonderful feature it has, and these are freely available tools. Then you have classroom screen, explain everything, and whiteboard.fi, as you can use it like the whiteboard and blackboard in the classroom. Then for the classroom engagement and some online examination quizzes, if you want to take live examination of the students, you can use Socrative software and Quizlet as well. Then for enhancing writing abilities, those teachers who are teaching language and some explanatory subjects. So Boom Writer, Storyboard, and Story Jumper is very much useful for those teachers. Then these tools are frequently used of Google by all the teachers nowadays. Google Classroom we are using as a free learning management system nowadays. Most of the schools, those who have not purchased learning management system, they are using Google Classroom as a LMS. Then Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, Google Forms can be used as a wonderful tool by teachers. So I'm completing my slides here, my presentation here. But if you are having any questions, and my dear teachers, I had lot many things to show because Rajmane madam had given me 1 hour time, but I had to complete it in a very shorter time. But I would like to tell you one thing, that in this COVID-19 situation, this situation has actually given us a platform, we can say in a positive manner, that yes, all the teachers have that potential, and with our small efforts we can make huge and big difference in life of students. And that is very much possible, all my dear teachers, because all these e-conferences and e-meetings we are taking right now, and wonderfully all my teachers throughout the globe, they are teaching virtually to the students, and students are more happy. You ask any kid, they are happy that I'm teaching online, I'm learning online, I'm very, very happy. I don't have to go to school, I don't have to take that heavy bag, and I don't have to wake up early in the morning, getting ready for the schools, getting the tiffin and all those things. Even mothers are happy that we don't have to do all these things for our children. But again, we have to take care of the kind of content we are delivering, because online teaching definitely has given lot many things. We can use our creativity, we can have innovative content for our students, but definitely responsibility is more. We cannot compromise on the quality of content we are teaching. So I'm requesting all of you, be that teacher, that because your students are waiting for you. And my dear teachers, you can make big difference in life of students, though we are teaching virtually right now. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to management of Oriental and all my co-speakers and wonderful team of Oriental College of Education. And my special thanks to Dr. Ratnaprabha Rajmane for being wonderful person and being wonderful administrator. And thank you for having me here. And thanks Jaimin Shah also for providing this platform. You are doing wonderful job. Thanks a lot.
All right, that was really an you can say insightful presentation about, maybe you can say using the real life tools and teaching tools actually. How that will be really helpful to all the teachers who are watching our webinar. Now moving on to the last session of this particular e-conference, which is wherein we'll be asking very few questions which we have actually to all the panelists. So I'll start with the first question. We really have few questions just because our presentations were really to the point. So I don't think there were many doubts regarding that. But there are very few questions related to your point of views. So my first question is to you only, Sandhya madam. There is one participant named Sapna Patra, who is asking that, I mean, what is your view on new education policy? Is it towards the logical thinking process, and will it be challenging to the teachers?
Yeah, actually, Sapna, let me tell you. Recently, I had done one research on this national education policy and how we can implement, because who is going to implement this new national education policy? The main stakeholder is all the teachers who are teaching in the classroom. So we are real implementers. Government has given this, it is passed in the ministry and everything is there. But when you look at the minute things of the national education policy, it is wonderfully designed. And it has given some time frame for all the areas of education. That means suddenly this national education policy came and overnight everything will change. This is not going to happen. It will take few years to implement, because if you see 1986 educational policy, many things of 86 have not implemented yet in 2020. So we have to take some time for it. We have to do many brainstorming sessions, because nowadays many vice chancellor of various universities and ministry people, they are having discussion on it, and they are taking feedbacks from all the schools and colleges. But this national education policy 2020 is definitely going to create a new platform for all the teaching fraternity and for all the learners. And this is really wonderful, because when we are trying to club all those 40,000 colleges in 14,000 colleges, and when we are making multidisciplinary, for example, two engineers are here on the panel, and if I ask that engineer, do you like to learn music with engineering, and if that engineer is very much interested in music, so music subject can be learned with engineering. So this wonderful thing has given by this national education policy, and if we study it thoroughly, and if we implement, the main thing is, if we implement it seriously, it is a wonderful policy that was never before. I think you got the answer.
I hope, yes.
I thought Sapna is here. See, there are so many tools, and both the engineers, they have showed the strategies also. One of the strategy, space maker, maker space, is useful for your answer, and you just try in your class and go ahead. I have tried for my theme based lesson for the B.Ed people, B.Ed teacher educator, and they have given a wonderful lesson virtually, and they have enjoyed also it. I thought this is not possible first, but then I have prepared the teachers and I asked them, give them space for the brainstorming and all, and let them go ahead and let them give the lessons. We will repeat it if they will there will be a failure, but let them do it. So it is possible. Everything is possible when we are our brain is storming and alarming for the same.
All right, so there is one sub question to that particular question, and I think Azim sir could, get into it. So the question, the
Yes.
sub question is, what type of improvement a professor needs to do to meet the expectations of new education policy? Azim sir.
So the new education policy is trying to bring our manpower, our people, our students into a more competitive world, which is different from the earlier sort of policies where we were trying to become more industrialized. Now we're trying to be more competitive. And as a result of that, the role of the teacher is going to be multifaceted. So it's not just going to be delivering information, but it's also going to be sort of being a how would I say this, co-partner in ensuring their success. I think that's what they want. And one of the things that they're trying to do in bringing this common platform together is to make sure that there is greater engagement amongst the teachers themselves. So teachers, one of the things that teachers should do, I mean, they already collaborate, they already work together, but one of the things teachers should do is start looking at across boundaries, what other people are doing, learn from them, impart what you know to them, and build this culture where we have a fostering of exchange of ideas that then can be applied to your classes. So that's sort of like the first step that we need to do. Like Sandhya Madam was saying, that it is important that we take time and understand this. So we understand this, we absorb this, and then we work from that direction. I think slowly the path will become clear. As usual, most government policies, like I believe, are sort of very broad in scope, and they try to attack the entire problem, but not always possible. So we'll have to just wait and see a little bit.
All right, so moving on to the next question. I think this question could be answered by Mr. Aditya and Azim sir, both of you. So, I mean, you just, yeah, so I'll just read out the question. The question is from Mr. Janardhan. The question says that, is it possible to bring AI, artificial intelligence, at the ground level, like the rural areas of our country? So what is your take on, I mean, taking it to the ground level, AI? Is it really possible?
Aditya, go ahead first.
Sure. So yeah, as Azim sir was saying, one of the big contribution is community. So to give an example, I used to teach in a very poor school in Brooklyn. People think that America has everything and like you get all these resources, but I used to teach in a school where we did not have any resources and I had to teach elementary level at a lower grade. Uh, so bringing it to a ground level is easier when you break the concepts of what is AI. As I suggested, of course, you have even rural industries, you have industries which do some of these sort of things. Why not have collaboration with them where students in a higher grade level can intern with them, can talk to them, can use their resources if possible, if we don't have any resources with us in schools. Having a collaboration with different parts of the community is always helpful. I tried to foster that, having clubs in which students can talk to people from industry, gain experience from them. I learned computer engineering where we had courses of AI, but of course we did not like do AI at a much higher level. When I came to US, I did code and do all those things in AI and machine learning. But when I was studying in Mumbai University, we did a lot of things using textbooks. We did a lot of things using traditional tools and materials that we had. So it is possible at a ground level. It needs collaboration.
I completely agree with Aditya. So the way, if I am in a rural area and I want to use AI, it's much simpler than doing AI. But in either case, we will need to collaborate. So AI typically needs the right amount of computing resources, so hardware like CPU, GPU, whatever. And it also needs the right software. Luckily, we have a lot of very high quality free software available on the internet if you have the hardware. So if you have the CPU, if you have the GPU, you can do it. So if you are in a community which is, let's say, poorer, maybe you can get together and do it. That's one. Two, and this is where I would sort of say that you need to be a bit more innovative, is that many companies all over India have guaranteed that they will spend a certain percentage of their money, I think 2%, as corporate social responsibility, which you can approach and ask them if they would like to sponsor the purchase or the development or a center or a room or whatever. Let them put their own billboard and say the center of, I don't know, what is it, some big company, and for artificial intelligence. And then you get those things there and then you can work it. One thing which we sort of know in India is that we have an issue with power supply and connectivity. Not every place gets it all the time, and we're going there. I believe the Prime Minister said by 2023, most places should have it at least a few hours a day. So we are getting there, but you can always get, a solar panel, a generator, or not a generator, a battery or something, so that at least when the students are in school, there is no issue of power and connectivity. So yes, it can definitely be done. And if you're trying it, please just go ahead, do it, and come back to us and tell us how it went.
Some cheap tools to like teach AI can be Arduino and Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi has a very simple chip for it, retails about $5-6, so it is about if I convert it, it's going to be about 400-500 rupees. So it's a very small chip which is actually a programmable computer used in Internet of Things. So Raspberry Pi, Arduino, all these kinds of tools and resources can be used for cheap to teach AI.
I'll move on to the last question of this webinar. The question is to you, Mr. Aditya. I mean, the question is very simple. So how do you evaluate your students? That is the personal question to you. How do you evaluate your students? Is it the total practical or the theory, or writing test, or the combination?
So my classroom is a project-based classroom. So we evaluate students by the outcome of the projects. For example, as I suggested you, something simple as I'll go back again to the playground projects that we have. So students create different components of playground, a swing, a slide, and all these things. They 3D printed, they use mixed material. So I can have a project evaluation rubric, for example, to understand what are the basic components. Is it coded well? Is the product really finished? Then is the product is the product up to the requirements that I have provided? Is the product aesthetically good? Is the product in relations with other things in the system working well? So something of that sort. We will have an evaluation rubric. Just to go way ahead, during my engineering, how some of my shop teachers used to grade us is we used to do welding. And when we used to do welding, my shop teacher used to put all our projects on the floor and he used to see if the welds are joined, the plates will be stable on the floor, they won't wobble. So he used to make sure if our plates are wobbling, we used to get reduced rate. So grading projects is a teacher's perspective. So different teachers grade differently. I would say a project-based grading rubric or project-based grading guideline is something that I use.
All right, I think you all have really justified the entire topic, including the question and answer. So moving on to the, concluding session, concluding part of this particular wonderful e-webinar, e-conference. So I'll be inviting Principal Surekha Nair to, present the vote of thanks to, all the participants and to all the speakers of today. Surekha Madam, over to you. Surekha Madam, you are on a mute mode.
Mute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Oriental College of Education and Research, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the management of Oriental Education Society, our President Professor Javed Khan, our Managing Director Mr. Wasim Khan, and our Treasurer Mrs. Humaira Khan for their constant support and encouragement, and Principal Dr. Ratnaprabha Rajmane for organizing this e-conference. Thank you very much. At OES, we strongly believe that the ultimate role of education is to prepare students for a purposeful and successful life, and to do so, education must take on strong leadership role in supporting students in the dynamic and digital world of today. I would like to thank all three presenters, especially Mr. Aditya Rajmane, Mr. Dr. Azim Khan, and Dr. Sandhya Khedekar, for sparing their valuable time and sharing their innovative thoughts with all of us. Thank you very much. I thank all of you who attended today's conference, taking time out of your your busy schedules. Thank you. Lastly, I would like to thank Mr. Jamin Shah for all his technical support, without which this conference would not be possible. Thank you all. I extend warm gratitude to all my teaching and non-teaching staff at OES and MES for all their hard work and support. Thank you, everyone. Happy Teachers' Day to you all. Thank you. Thank you,
Right, so that was
Thank
really,
you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Surekha
that
Madam.
was really a wonderful
And,
evening today. And
Thank you very much, everyone. And I'm so happy today to see all of you. Thank you. Azim, thank you. So long. And my growing boy. And my daughter also joining in here. Thank you, everyone.
yeah,
Thank you.
so that was
Ratna
a
Prabha.
beautiful evening today. And for the matter of fact and the statistics, we have received more than 300 registrations for this particular webinar from 130 different institutions and from 11 different states of the country. So that was really an amazing to have, I mean, all of the participants from different parts of India on this particular webinar.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Really nice, Jaimin.
yeah, so the statistics are really amazing. So,
Amazing.
and we are receiving many positive comments on the comment section of YouTube live. So I mean, you can just check it out. People are really happy with the entire webinar.
Yeah, yeah.
And to all the participants, the participation certificate will be distributed to you within a week's time. So I mean, yeah, you just wait for a week's time. It will be delivered to your email address or maybe on your WhatsApp. All right. So your final words, Ratnabha, madam. We are concluding.
Yeah. Um, I'm very happy. I don't have words to say because it was my dream to come into the successful implementation. I always think, uh, I always wake up, I always do the hard work for the same. And always my thing is that 100% should be the implementation of that particular area. I thought of this conference. I thought this platform I wanted to give my teacher because nowadays pandemic situation is very bad. We are going ahead and ahead for the lockdown. My students should do something. We can't waste a year. We can't lose a year. That is what I have learned so many things from the webinar. Though I was not in that particular young age, but I have tried to learn it. Definitely my students will try to learn it. And I like Sandhya madam's thing always because she is making it easy. Our rack, shell, how can they will teach the maths? Because she showed it so beautifully that they will use the stand and they will write on the paper and that image will come on the that image will come and go to the mobile and they will learn it. Something we have to do in this situation. That is what we are going ahead, Azim sir. Sir, I totally agree. Actually, this should be the community work to all my students to go find out the 5 students, teach them some skill. And that definitely I will keep it in mind and I will go ahead. That at least they will teach them. Means, see, nowadays Android mobile is with all panwala, bhajiwala, everybody in India, and they are very curious that how my child is learning from the Android, and there sometimes means we have to see that positive thing that parents are also happy that something they are learning. Every day I'm learning from my Sureka madam. Her granddaughters are learning technology so fast because every day they are learning from the virtual things and means taking the video ahead, how to means hide the video, how to talk with the mother, grandma, how to take the answer from her for the examination. Everything they are learning, and this is the, I think, the revolution in our Indian education field. Sir, we'll go ahead and we'll do it and we'll try it. It will reach to the community. And really, I'm telling you, I'm for the community. I'm a community worker. I taught the street play children 7 years. And I got the award also, the best teacher award for the teaching to the street children. When you said, I thought I have to send my student to the street children and let them learn all these things. And this BEd student also, I told, those who are not having the facility, please come and sit in the laboratory, or we will collect the money and we'll give the Android mobile to you people. But learn something. So this is the revolutions are going on in India, and the situation will not cure up to the November. But we have to go ahead with our skills. See, I'm telling to my staff members also, again and again you browse. Google is a free for us. It is a very big guru for us. Once you will start it, you will get so many things. So learn from that. Till today also, I'm learning from the Google so many things. So it is learning has no end. Learning has no age. Learning has no span. That is what you can learn from the things. Instead of looking at the Facebook and instead of looking at the WhatsApp, writing something, go and browse your content from the Google also. Sandhya madam, I'm very happy. Always I'm happy to
Thank
attend
you,
your
ma'am.
session.
Ma'am,
Because-
age is not a constraint. You are a young by
No.
heart. That's why you are.
Yeah. No, I'm always attending her session and I'm thinking, "Okay, I want Sandhya madam for my children." And that is what she is giving, the simple thing in very easy way. And how, see, nowadays Mumbai University has record your lessons and then you have to send to the schools, because school triangular virtual learning is not possible for us, sir, because uh, uh, classroom children, BA teacher and BA supervisor, it is a triangular learning, but it is not possible for us now. So they have given the option for the recording, and that is what it is very good that you showed them how to do the recording also. They have to just open their mind, open your box and go ahead. Then only the innovative culture will come in our education field. That is what I feel. I'm very, very happy to see all of you here, and wonderful presentation you have given here. Uh, my dream became into the successful thing, and thank you very much for all the team and all the participants.
All right, so thank you everyone. Thank you all the participants and all the speakers. And with your permission, Ratnaprabha madam, shall I end this
Yeah.
conference?
Okay.
All right, yeah. Thank you everyone.
Thank
It was
you.
really a
Bye.
pleasure.
Thanks.
I mean, having you all on that
Thank you.
particular stage.
Thank you,
Thank
Jamin.
you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. I'm just ending this meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thanks.
you.